So I spent the last 3 weeks learning a song for the first time that my band wrote 23 years ago before I joined. It's heavy as shit, it's got dozens of parts that do not repeat, and it's called Vespers. All right, if you're new here, my name is Paul Misko. I play guitar in a metal band from Ohio called From a Second Story Window. And today I'm doing a full playthrough of the song Vespers off the 2004 release, Not One Word Has Been Omitted. It was originally released on the Cassandra Complex EP in 2003 and then remastered and released as Not One Word Has Been Omitted when the band got signed to Black Market Activities. A couple years later, I joined the band in 2006, but we never played this song live because there was just no room for it when playing songs from the next record. So when sitting down to tackle this, I'm starting from absolute square one with a song that is 8 minutes and 53 seconds long on a 23-year-old recording with tons of parts that don't repeat. And no one else on earth knows how to play it at this point. There's no tabs. There's not really any great reference videos for me to look at to like see shapes and positions. So this was a challenge to say the least. The tuning for the song is AEA DGA. It was recorded with guitars that really weren't meant for that tuning. And of course, in 2003, it was recorded with real amps in a studio. So it's got that awesome raw 2000s metalcore, mathcore vibe, but that makes the recording fairly unclear to hear, especially with the low tuning and the type of style of chords and parts that this band plays. I really needed stems, and we didn't have those. The original session files are completely gone and lost forever. So I used Logic's AI stem separation to split the drums, guitar, bass, and vocals, and then I could solo the guitars, pan it left and right to hear what each one were doing. The good thing about this band is 80% of the time the guitars are playing the same thing. So if one of them was unclear, I had a good chance of figuring out in the other ear. So I could pan left, right. Oh, this guitar is a little out of tune. That one was a little sloppy, and I could figure it out. Most of the chug parts and all that kind of stuff is simple. You're just following the rhythms. But when it comes to the scales and the chordal parts, that was fairly difficult. The scales in this band are all really chromatic. So as opposed to if you're in a key, it's a little bit easier to pick out with the ear. But when you're playing a chromatic scale and all the notes are right next to each other, it makes it very difficult to figure out. So if I couldn't figure it out, I would solo the guitar, zoom in on the scale, and I would literally loop 1 or 2 notes of the scale at a time. So if the scale is da-da-da-da-da-da, I would just go da-da, loop that, da-da-da-da-da-da, and just doing that, and I get my guitar and go darn it, and until I find the note and move on to the next one. So totally overkill, but I had already spent so much time learning this song, and it's almost 9 minutes long anyway. And I knew this was going to be a lot of work to put in this video. So I'm like, it's either going to be perfect or there's no point in doing it with all the work I was putting in. Once I was confident, I had like 95% of the song. I started playing it in full just over and over again, just to start to get it down. And then I would hear something like, oh, that's still not quite right. So zoom in on that, figure it out, fix it, write it down, record it, whatever. And I just kept doing that and doing that and doing that until I was like, hey, I am fairly confident with all this time I put in that this is at least 98% correct, if not 100. I just realized I'm still wearing my headphones on my after trying to record this a million times. So the reason I re-recorded the guitars and bass were I was hitting parts where my guitar would sound out of tune with the recording, even though I was in tune. So I'm like, okay, this is almost 9 minutes long. They probably didn't stop after every section and retune, so the guitars were slowly drifting out. So I was like, shit. This sounds bad, so I could just say screw it and release it as is, which I'm not going to do, of course. Or I could tune the guitar by ear to the individual sections that were problem areas and then film those and then cut it together as one thing, which is also fucking retarded. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to re-record everything. And then that way it'll put a focus on the guitars. It'll be a cool instrumental version, and you'll get like a modern, amp sim that is super clear, and it'll be cool to hear it that way. So re-recorded all the guitars, a few extra layers for leads and stuff. And like the transition part near the end, that's like just this cool panning like telephone effect. And then I turned the bass guitar back on, and of course that was out of tune and sounded like shit with what I did now too. So I was like, okay, I want the bass to be in there because it sounds awesome and heavy. So I spent another 4 or 5 days learning all the bass parts and recording that too. So This has been a hell of a run for this video to put it all together. But if you listen to it next to the original, it's like night and day clarity to hear what's going on with the guitars. And it was perfect for the purpose of this video. If you're curious what I used STL Tones Amp Hub. I used the, what was it called? The Kali dual rectifier head, which is just emulating the same Mesa head that the guys used live and on the recording. The cab settings for that are, the default is like 50-50, like a Mesa cab, the same cab they use, and then also a Bogner, but it's called like a Bogart in the plugin. Guitar I use is my MH1000 baritone, and for bass I use Neural DSP's Parallax, which is like just super sick. It just makes everything sound amazing like instantly, especially for me when I'm like an amateur mixer. And shout out to Ben Illage for letting me borrow his bass guitars. His Ibanez BTB 745. So that was killer 5-string. So yeah, this song is a beast. You could write 3 or 4 songs with all the awesome parts in it. It was always kind of low key my favorite song on the EP, but now that I can play along to it, I think I can definitely say that. But also cool with never hearing it again after all this. But I'll shut up now. Let's get to it.